Welcome back to Breakfast Television. 7:14 is the time right now. Mayor John Tory is in Chicago this morning with business leaders from around the world at the Chicago Forum for Global Cities and joins us right now via Skype from the Windy City. Let's see if the wind is doing anything to his hair this morning. No, not bad, not bad. Good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Kevin, I'm great. How are you?
I am doing well. All right. Just yesterday, Canada shifted its foreign policy, a major story in which our foreign affairs minister has said that maybe we're not going to focus so much on the U.S. and we're going to try and circumvent a little bit of the Trump administration and concentrate a lot on Europe and elsewhere. Does this make your job at this forum tougher, easier, or are you indifferent?
I don't think it changes it very much, because when it comes to, say, the administration's stand in the United States on the environment, we're going to continue to try and clean Toronto up and make sure that we have fewer cars on the road and fewer energy inefficient buildings. So that work carries on, and it's mostly done in cities regardless of what's going on in Washington. The same with trade. I mean, Toronto and Ontario and Canada are trading places. You know, we thrive on trade. We create jobs on trade. So we're going to have to work to push back these forces in the U.S. And that's part of what I'm down here to say, that are trying to shut down trade or shut borders. But we've got to keep trading with other people, and we now have the free trade agreement with Europe. So we're going to get Toronto and Canadian companies to take advantage of that. And then finally, I'll mention water quality. I'm down here to talk about Great Lakes water quality because, again, the Washington administration has said they're going to withdraw the money that we're using together, Canada and the U.S., to clean up the Great Lakes. And 48 million people, including Torontonians, draw their drinking water from the Great Lakes, Lake Ontario. So we've got a lot at stake in that. But it just means we carry on with these things and try to achieve them, notwithstanding whatever's going on in Washington.
It's interesting the time that we are in right now is that we have such problems with populism and with tensions with the Trump administration, or whether what is happening in Britain. We have the election tomorrow. We had a very divisive election in France. You've been to a lot of these forums. Are you feeling a kind of a different tension in the air right now on what's next for leaders of municipalities and cities?
Kevin, that's exactly the question everybody's asking, is what's next? But I think there's a great sort of determination on the part of the city leaders that I met. I met this week in Toronto earlier with the mayor of Jerusalem. I'm seeing the mayor of Chicago this morning. There's a great determination to just stay the course, to get things done, to get transit built so we can get cars off the road and fix traffic, to address the housing issue, to keep trading and creating jobs. And I think that in Canada, we've been relatively fortunate not to have as much of this kind of political distraction going on, and we'll hope that stays the case. It's good to have a solid debate about the issues, but it isn't good to have the kind of ad hominem, personal attacks and the very sort of polarized politics we've seen elsewhere. And Canada so far and Toronto have largely resisted that, and I think that's in tribute in part to the players who just aren't interested. I'm not interested in polarized politics. I mean, I'm just interested in getting things done for the people, because that's why they sent me to City Hall.
It's interesting. Just yesterday, I was walking down Bay Street, and I bumped into Councillor Thompson, Michael Thompson, on his way to lunch with the mayor, a mayor from Ukraine, as well. So it's getting the word out that Toronto is open for business, open for trade.
Well, it's true, because a lot of the business now of all kinds is done in cities. They call it urban diplomacy, but the bottom line is that it is city-to-city contact. And our relationship with Kiev and Ukraine are very important in the context of both our large Ukrainian community in Toronto, but also in terms of doing business. We have huge business we do with Chicago. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians come here as tourists. We do billions of dollars worth of business back and forth between Ontario and Illinois. We do share the Great Lakes in terms of our water and recreation. So there are lots of things to talk about. We also talked last night about Millennium Park, a fabulous park they've built on the waterfront here. And I learned a lot of lessons about how we can proceed with the rail deck park. They did tell me last night, by the way, that this park, the Millennium Park, which was controversial when it was suggested, has paid for itself, in their words, 1,000 times over in terms of how it's helped to redevelop the city and make it a more vibrant place with lots more jobs and places to live and so on.
All right, and you can remind them they can fly right into downtown from Chicago. All right, thank you, sir.
Well, that's exactly right.
All right. John Tory talking to us from Chicago this morning.